Good morning once again. You're watching Agenda live on Signal TV channels 8 and 250. And we are also being aired live via Facebook on One News PH Facebook Live. I'm Cito Beltran. Welcome to today's program. The day is April 22, 2020. It's a Wednesday, and we hope that you are all doing well, adjusted to the enhanced community quarantine, and looking forward to a bright day. And if there are some of you who are struggling, we pray to the Lord God Almighty that you would be lifted in your spirits and you would have a time for prayer so that you can have a great day ahead of you. So let's move on with what's happening. Just as a reminder, yesterday was the hottest day so far for summer in the Philippines in 2020. The temperature hit 35 degrees yesterday, and we are expecting more hot days to come. So please stay hydrated, stay cool, and just keep yourself relaxed. Now, for the headlines. With almost a week to go before the end of April, presidential spokesman Harry Roque says there will be no total lockdown in Luzon. This after President Rodrigo Duterte met with public health experts, including former secretaries of the Department of Health. In the meeting, Duterte inquired about various post quarantine scenarios, and the health authorities or experts voiced their preference to extend the enhanced community quarantine or to modify the protocol in some areas. Tomorrow, Thursday, April 23, the president is expected to announce the government's next step as the ECQ is scheduled to be lifted by April 30. The Education Department and its stakeholders are leaning towards moving the opening of classes in the following school year to August of this year. This after Education Secretary Leonor Briones said that the DEPED has consulted with various sectors to consider their views about the resumption of classes. However, Secretary Briones also said that they still have to consider the recommendations of the Interagency Task Force. The agency is also looking at the feasibility of other measures like resuming school but strictly enforcing social distancing, holding lessons online, on television or radio, or holding Saturday classes, even having a compressed school year. In a few moments, we will chat with DepEd Secretary Briones herself to talk more about the agency's next steps. Meanwhile, President Duterte has offered a 10 million peso reward money for anyone who can help develop a cure or vaccine for COVID-19. Now, don't smirk, don't be sarcastic, because the UP scientists actually developed a test kit for COVID-19. We've developed quite a number of medicines and concepts and solutions, so it's not a far-fetched idea. The palace also said that Duterte is providing a grant to the University of the Philippines, Philippine General Hospital or UPPGH, but no exact amount was mentioned. Senators Grace Poe and Ralph Recto welcomed the reward, but Senator Recto said that he would prefer to get the scientists together in developing a vaccine against coronavirus. The health department seeks over 5 billion pesos of additional funding to hire 17,000 health workers in response to the COVID-19 pandemic. This hiring is part of the health department's efforts to boost the front lines. These workers will be deployed in priority health facilities, which include the Philippine General Hospital or PGH, Research Institute for Tropical Medicine or RITM, Lung Center of the Philippines, and Dr. Jose Rodriguez Hospital and the Sanitarium. The Armed Forces of the Philippines, or AFP, has been receiving many requests from Metro Manila local governments to help enforce enhanced community quarantine. Brigadier General Edgardo Arevalo, spokesman of the AFP, identified the barangay captains in Quezon City, Parañaque, Mandaluyong, and Pateros as some of the local government units asking for additional troops. On top of their regular troops, the AFP has already tapped the services of around 800 military reservists in the fight against COVID 19. 500 of these reservists are deployed in Quezon City and Manila, while 300 are in Parañaque and Pasay. That's our headlines from the Philippine Star. And if you get the chance, you're also welcome to read my column, Sea Talk, in the opinion section of the Philippine Star. Now, let's see if Secretary Leonor Briones is available online. And I'm really excited to speak to her because I was deeply concerned about her health. Secretary Briones, magandang umaga po. How are you?
Well, I have always been A-okay kasi asymptomatic ako and my last test registered negative for COVID. Pero to make sure, nag-extend ako ng 2 weeks na isolation after the results of the test came out just to make sure and to confirm that I'm really fit. Pero every day since March, I have been taking tests, daily checkups. So wala namang pagbabago. Talagang asymptomatic ako and everything is within normal limits.
Are you telling me, Secretary, that you are in the office right now?
No, I am in a facility of the DEPED where I am in isolation. Sito.
Yeah, no. Kasi if you're in the office right now, I will physically go there and arrest you and bring you home. Kasi masyado ka ng bayani. We've all been worried, sincerely. I mean, so many people were so scared for you, were worried about you, and it's good to know that you are actually well, asymptomatic. So are you COVID free already?
Yes, I'm COVID free. Kasi nag-negative ako sa test tapos 2 weeks pa na isolation just to make sure that everything is all right. Pero maski isolation ako, Sito, I have continued my work, virtual meetings with my EXICOM, my MANCOM, and also participation in the IATF, which is the cabinet level committee advising the president on COVID, and many other activities as well. I carry on virtually, pero isolated, yes.
Well, our hats off to you, Madam Secretary, because you are really a symbol of hard work, of dedication, and initiative. Now, going to today's interview, I guess the first question on the minds of many parents, paano na? How are we going to do this? How are we going to send children back to school? Are we going to send children back to school? And if so, how and when?
Sang-ayon sa batas, according to the law, classes should open between first week of June and the last day of August. So we did consultations among our affected sectors, and then we also had a poll which ended yesterday. Mas malaki ito kasi mga 700,000 responses sa poll na ito. And the leaning, as you correctly pointed out, is toward August. Why August? This is because education, Sito, is already changing. Iba na yung direction sa education. We foresaw this even before COVID, but COVID has accelerated our activities. So we'll have to look at yung sinasabi namin na learning curriculum namin, planning curriculum namin has to be completely overhauled, and then we have to make ready our infrastructure, and most important, we really have to strengthen our ICT capabilities. So hindi namin magawa yan by June realistically. And besides, we have COVID also to consider. Kaya nakikita namin na August might be the most appropriate. Pero when in August, i-determine natin yan when the President makes his announcement naman about ECQ. Pero definitely August. Pero Sito, alam mo, while
Yes,
we
ma'am.
classes might open formally in August, it does not mean that the students, the learners, and the teachers will be idle for 2 months. We will request our teachers to report on June. They don't have to report physically, they can report virtually so that they can start the preparations. We will have to upgrade and upskill our teachers' capacity in IT kasi ang approach nito will be a blend of IT, of online, of other means of transmitting lessons. Kasi ang ating motto dito is education must continue whatever is the behavior of COVID or any other national problem. So kailangan ng time mag-prepare. And then the learners also have to be prepared and also upskilled. So we have developed a platform, we call it DEPED Commons, which already has more than 4.6 million subscribers. At madagdagan pa ito because Globe and Smart have both assured us na they will not make charges. Lahat ng mga lessons, mga new ways of teaching, mga tests are all on this platform. Tinitingnan din namin ang other, yung tinatawag namin methods of delivering learning. We have to adjust and we have to enrich face-to-face learning with the teachers with other methods, especially since many factors cannot be, ang daming unknowns in the planning process, unlike before na stable, you have a calendar, you have set up activities, etc., etc.
Okay.
Yeah.
Obviously the technology is there. The choices are there. We can either use radio, we can use television, the
Yes.
internet.
Yes.
Now, what about the expense? Siyempre, that's always the first question. Like for teachers, for instance, we want all of them to go online, and that is at the minimum 999, 1,100, or in our case, I had to change my service provider and change my setup. Nag-PLDT fiber optic na ako, and that's about 3,000 something a month, just so we can stay online and stay consistent. Kasi yun ang concern that our teachers must have online presence, and not just online presence, there must be quality in their presence. Now, are they going to pay for their cost to be online, yung kanilang mga internet package?
Doing online with DepEd Commons, it's going to be free kasi nag-offer na ang Globe at saka ang
Smart.
And also, we're going to submit a different kind of budget. Dahil, alam mo Sito, we are saving also substantially sa aming budget for 2020 yung cost ng mga meetings. Kasi yung mga regional meetings namin, halimbawa, our regional directors travel all the way to Manila, we have a venue, pagkain, lahat. Ay ngayon, what we do is just get together virtually from wherever we are. So, may mga activities where ang expense ay bababa. Pero there are also activities, and you are absolutely correct. malaking implications ito para sa ICT. And so we're working it out also in our budget. Kailangan talaga na we don't also want to burden the teachers and also the learners. May suggestion pa nga si ito from the
Yes, ma'am.
media na maski na halimbawa bigyan namin ng tablets or computers ang mga bata, which we might, kasi ngayon the policy is dapat hindi nila yan iuwi. Pero ngayon ay sinasabi namin pwede nilang iuwi because some of the work they might have to do at home. Pero
Yeah.
ang issue is supposing the home does not have ICT capacities as well as the tools that are needed. Supposing you have a home with 4 children who are going to do ICT work. Supposing the parents don't have that capacity as well. So may mga suggestion nga that we give children computers or laptops to take home. Kasi ngayon, everything they do in school dahil dinidiscourage natin ang homework, and that's going to be a huge expenditure. Kaya yung Brigada 7 natin, eskwela natin, Sito, di ba?
Yeah.
The public sector, the private sector comes in, everybody comes in. Sabi namin, instead of the usual packages of yung na binibigay sa mga bata, why don't they consider giving laptops or computers?
You know, I find that ironic, Secretary, because alam mo naman ako, matagal ko nang gusto na mabago yung curriculum, no more heavy backpacks for students, too many books, and I've always been saying, give every student a laptop. And I guess there are silver linings to COVID-19.
Ang nangyari kasi sa ito, napabilis because we're already looking in that direction because we could see what is happening in the world. We have a future study group yung looking at the future.
Yes, I know.
Napabilis sa COVID. So we really have to work double time na dati I have up to 2022, ganitong mangyari. Pero everything has to be double time now because of COVID.
Yeah, what about the curriculum? Because I've also been championing, and a lot of people have been championing, na bawasan natin yung workload or yung mga subject matters because our children are growing up, jack of all trades, master at none. Too many subject matters, but half of them not relevant in today's reality.
Yes, tama yan. Kaya nga we are taking time, at least in the interregnum between now and August. Ang isang major activity, yesterday we had the whole day meeting with our EXICOM and then later the MANCOM, specifically focusing, most important, on the curriculum. Kasi natanggap din natin yung feedback na the curriculum is too mabigat.
Yeah.
As the books that the children have to carry on their backs. So, at saka, hindi lang na mabigat yung curriculum, pero yung learning materials dito, hindi na obra because you can only keep a child's attention on the screen na magbabasa siya ng nobela o magbabasa ng lecture, etc. The way of presentation is changing. At saka makikita natin yan sa DEPED Commons concepts which are presented now in a different way which will keep a child's attention and perhaps even the teacher's attention. So, napabilis itong inaambisyon natin na overhaul talaga ng not only the content of the curriculum, the weight of the curriculum, but also the way the curriculum is being transmitted to the learners. It's a huge task. And which leads me, Sito, we're asking for your help. And media and the public, lalaki ang role ng parents or the lolas, the lolos, the yayas, and so on. Dahil some of the work, the learning process will take place at home sa mga bata. And ngayon, we know for a fact that parents work, and so yaya takes over, lola takes over, or lolo takes over, kailangan we have to communicate to them na mas malaki na ang role nila to monitor the progress of the children. Kasi ang daming diversions diyan sa technology, di ba? Ang bata can also say many other things, no? They can be
Yes.
diverted. So, yung pag-supervise, pagbantay ng progress ng bata will have to be shared with the parents and those at home. And this is the more challenging part because traditionally, we rely on the teacher to deliver most of the learning experiences of the child. Ngayon, they'll be spending time at home. Kailangan they will have to be working together with us, and that's the communication challenge that we are facing among others.
Okay.
Yeah.
So clearly the parents, mga magulang will have to step up. And actually it's a good thing, especially for those na medyo naiwanan na ng panahon. They will now they will have to educate themselves while educating their children. They will have to learn, just like all of us are learning how to use the internet to do our jobs. So there is a blessing, and as you pointed out, there's a need for revision of the curriculum, investing on tablets and lightening the load of the children. Any other major announcement, Madam Secretary?
Usually, kasi we have national events which draw huge mammoth crowds, like Palarong Pambansa. Yung Palarong Pambansa has been postponed kasi hindi na talaga pwede. This is scheduled for May. Cancelled na nga. Pero next year, we will proceed with it, God willing. Also, Brigada Escuela, yesterday we had a very long discussion on a different way of Brigada Escuela, different ways by which our supporters, our parents and business can help contribute to education. Hindi na yung usual giveaway na binibigay ng mga school bags, mga lapis, ganon. Kung pwede, kung may maka-afford ng laptops, etc. Usually, nagbibigay sila ng mga cleaning materials, mga walis, mga brooms, pentura. Siguro ngayon, clean sanitation materials na pwedeng magamit. At saka we'll be involving to a greater extent also the local governments. Kasi mayroon silang special education fund which can be utilized. Galing yan sa real property tax natin na which should go to education. So, i-involve din natin in a more modern way perhaps, or a new ways of helping education. Ang bottom line is, una, ang tinitingnan natin talaga dito is the health and safety of our learners and our teachers. Everything that we do, yung bottom line. And then, of course, the continuity of the learning process. And hindi lang mga DepEd ang mag-adjust. Those who love education, those who support us, and especially the parents and the homes. Because we can insist perhaps that they observe kung may face-to-face, Louis, some fine day there will be face-to-face classes. We cannot monitor if face-to-face, yung social distancing can be maintained in the home. At saka, isang consideration din sito is may mga findings now while children are not prone to COVID because they're very resistant, they're strong, they're healthy, they might also be carriers. And in homes where you have elderly and young children together, then care has to be taken. So, malaki ang communications challenges to the homes and to the general public, not only for education, but all aspects of our life.
That's a very good point, Madam Secretary, and we will continue to keep our line open for you. The program is available for you, and the DepEd Maraming salamat for your time today. And more than anything, we love you because in spite of, and excuse me, in spite of being my ate, in spite of all the challenges,
Hindi
you are working.
kasi sa father mo pa ako.
Okay. Thank you very much, Secretary Briones.
It's a pleasure. I wish I could talk the whole day with you.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. There will be many days, and please stay strong, stay safe, stay healthy, and God bless you.
Thank you.
Okay, that's Secretary Leonor Briones of the Department of Education. And you have to forgive me if I gush because uh, I'm sure many of you, or almost all of you, are shocked, because when COVID 19 rolled out, they said that it is us senior citizens, the elderly, who have a bullseye on our back for COVID 19, that we are the most compromised, etc., etc. And unfortunately, or fortunately, that has been debunked by people like Secretary Briones and a lot more people who've survived COVID 19. By the way, correction, Secretary Briones is COVID free. So, but there are many like her who actually ended up in the hospital, survived COVID, and the intriguing part of it all for me is that the survivors are generally women, uh, and I gotta talk to an epidemiologist. I don't know if our next guest is available already. We've lined up an epidemiologist, Dr. Troy Gepte. He's a public health epidemiologist. He's currently still working with the Senate Committee on Health under chairmanship of Senator Christopher Lawrence Go. Christopher Lawrence Bongo. Okay, now, Dr. Troy, good morning.
Good morning, Sito. Magandang umaga po sa viewers natin.
Actually, special request ka, Doc, because I have been asking my team, let's get an epidemiologist to answer some of the lingering or malingering questions in our minds, in our midst of boredom. Now, number one, wala pa and I'm not wishing this, okay? But people are wondering, why are the middle class, upper class getting the COVID-19 virus, pero wala tayong herd infection or infestation or outbreak in the poor areas?
Yeah. Thanks, Sito. Yung question na yon, I think nagbumula yun dun sa initial parang how it presented yung ating COVID-19 outbreak in the Philippines. A lot of our private hospitals were the first ones to actually report yung mga cases. I think it might be due to yung exposure of our first few cases from maybe they had travel history from abroad or they came from clusters which are unknown na nagkaroon ng outbreak within those clusters. So it's really hard to say, but what is very clear is that equally vulnerable ang anyone in the population. It's just that how the epidemic progresses, nakikita natin kung paano yung clustering in terms of area, in terms of time, and
Yeah.
that's what we need to look for, ano yung mga evidence of the spread.
Yeah, now, of course, I understand what you're saying is, this is a novel coronavirus, a new virus. We're still picking up lessons as we go. The reporting happened because most of those people who got it from abroad, came back to the Philippines, got sick, and of course, may pera sila, so private hospitals. But having said that, I mean, the presumption has been kung congested, maramihang tao, masikip, mahirap, malnourished, dapat nagkaroon na tayo ng outbreaks in those areas, and yet we don't have. And some people are saying meron kaya silang herd, how do you call it?
Herd immunity.
Yeah,
Herd immunity.
herd immunity, or is it simply, or are they the 80% asymptomatic of the population?
Yeah, thanks for citing yung herd immunity. The concept means that if we have enough of us who already got infected, we also have protective antibodies to neutralize yung mga viruses. It's just that we don't have that much data kasi to show kung ilan ba talaga na-infect sa population kasi we prioritize testing only for those who are high risk. These are our patients, healthcare workers, and those who might have some kind of exposure to abroad initially, but now yung
Hmm.
mga nag-aalaga ng mga COVID-19 patients. So I think as Secretary Briones parang told us kanina, there are a lot of people who are asymptomatic. Yung
Yeah.
mga nagkakaroon ng mild cases, which actually are the majority of COVID-19 patients all over the world. So what we know is that it might be mild, very few symptoms lang of cough, or maybe a dry cough or fever, and not much else. And then
Okay.
some of them become very severe in their presentation. And these are patients who are relatively yung may mga sakit, comorbidities, or those who are elderly. It might be that there are already a lot of us who already got infected, and it contributes to us protecting each other from the transmission of the virus. So, yun yung importante kung bakit kailangan natin magkaroon ng um, plan or strategy natin for increasing our capacity for testing. And it's fortunate that the DOH and the WHO are aligned with this particular kind of strategy. Although we have very limited capacity in terms of yung number of facilities where we can conduct yung PCR testing, we now
Yeah.
have access to yung mga tinatawag nating rapid antibody test kits. But
Mhm.
we have to use them very carefully kasi may konting caveats kung paano ginagamit itong mga rapid antibody test kits.
Yeah, but going back to the point of herd immunity and all that, sabi mo kasi you mentioned asymptomatic. Now, is this yung asymptomatic? Is it a case of coronavirus or COVID-19 having different varieties? Kasi you were saying mild symptoms, mild case, okay? That there are people who are saying that on the other hand, it can be strong resistance, malakas ang katawan nila, batak sila, they drink all of the, well, the right things. Is it strong resistance or mild form of the virus?
Um, I'll take the first one muna, yung tungkol sa yung resistance ng katawan natin. Iba-iba kasi yung genetic makeup natin. Our immunity might be parang it has a range eh. It has a spectrum. Sometimes tayo mismo, mahina pangangatawan natin, puyat
Mm.
tayo, stress tayo, and we might be particularly prone to diseases, especially ito ngayon, may COVID, may infections. Our
Yeah.
healthcare workers, they are overworked and they're overly stressed out by taking care of our patients, and
Yeah.
that might be the reason why a lot of healthcare workers, doctors, nurses are getting sick. About the second one, from the early studies that they've seen about yung strains of coronavirus, itong COVID-19 natin, it seems that there are certain areas geographically that have a certain kind of strain. I think what we have now is what we found dun sa Wuhan din kasi we're geographically close to each other. But there are other strains that have affected other Asian countries also in Europe, and yung ibang strain naman from the States and sa Australia. Pero I think we still need to make further studies kung malaman natin kung gaano ka varied or mixed up yung mga strains ito. But we're still like in 2 or 3 months dun sa pinaka-pandemic natin. So I think I'm just guessing na mukhang pare-pareho pa ngayon yung strains na lumalabas sa atin. When we had
Okay,
this
so
lockdown,
yeah,
oo,
pare-pareho yung virus or similar,
yeah,
magkakamag-anak sila. Ang nagkakaiba yung levels of resistance of people
yes,
because there's no medicine to COVID-19. The
yeah,
virus strains are similar. Then what will spell the difference is our level of resistance or physical strength, I would say.
yeah.
Yeah.
That,
Now,
that,
go
oo.
ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah. The two kinds of resistance kasi from a medical point of view and a public point of view. Dun sa medical point of view, yung sarili nating resistance,
Yeah.
how we build up our antibodies and build up our immune cells to fight
Yeah.
off any kind of infection. That's the medical one, yung clinical one. And the other one is the public health side, yung pinag-uusapan natin about the herd immunity. It will
Yeah.
take some time, Sito. Baka it will take us a year, maybe more, to really build up a resistance in the population, yung herd immunity, to really thwart yung pagkakaroon ng continuous spread. But what we are doing now, yung social distancing is important para in place of yung pagkakaroon ng herd immunity, we do have this kind of protection. May barriers tayo against spreading the virus to each other. Meron tayong social distancing, meron tayong parang we are kept to our homes and to
Yeah.
specific quarantine facilities para matigil yung spread.
So our immune system, our resistance is now spelling the difference on how we individually react to COVID-19. It will take at least a year of exposure for us to have a herd immunity to this virus, if ever. Now,
Yeah.
may question lang. You're an epidemiologist. Nakakita ka na ba ng virus na namimili ng gender? That a virus that seems to affect one gender versus the other. Because I've heard comments time and again that COVID-19 seems to be harsher on men than on women. And in fact, in the mortalities, there are more men dying than women. Is this just kwento lang, just stories, or has it been observed in other virus epidemics?
I'm not really sure, Sito. Some virus that might come into mind, maybe Zika, maybe more for pregnant women. Andun kasi yung mga precautions or perils for pregnancy. Pero it might not be that clear yung gender difference between
Yeah.
people, between yung mga nakaka-infect. It's clear though na among those who get sick, mas marami mga lalaki ang nakakasakit eh. And
Yeah.
dun sa life expectancy natin, if you compare yung males and females, mas shorter life expectancy for males by a few years compared to females. So
I
it might
guess
be that reason.
because tayong mga lalaki, mas pinoproblema natin ang buhay while the women take it in stride and are more relaxed. In
Oo.
any case, Doc Troy, last question. This thing about asymptomatic, because we're all saying if you stay indoors 14 days or now 30 days and you really don't get exposed to anything or anyone, the presumption was you don't have COVID-19, you didn't get COVID-19, etc. Now, but we're talking about asymptomatics and latent reaction because we're all many government officials are talking about testing, but parang in my mind, you can test and test and test all you want. But as long as there is no medicine and no vaccine, we will just be throwing away money testing because everyone is just going around passing it on or is there a reinfection, etc. Yung
Yeah.
asymptomatic ba, is that a constant threat?
That's a good point, to clarify. Yung pagiging asymptomatic, we have people who are infected but have no symptoms like si Secretary Briones, but they can potentially infect other people. And that's why ang pinaka-strategy kasi natin sa healthcare system, our National Task Force in IATF, what we need is to really detect cases and expose people to these cases. If they are in clusters, we have to automatically try to inform the LGU to have those movement restrictions. And ang pinaka-importante is to get these cases and contacts to the appropriate quarantine or isolation facilities as soon as possible
Okay,
para
if
mawala yung threat na yon.
yeah, if they're isolated, quarantine for 14, 21 days or 30 days, 100% na ba yun na neutralized na sila that they will no longer have COVID and they will no longer infect anyone?
From what we know about yung course of the disease, it takes about 10 to 14 days, maybe 2 weeks, maybe more, bago mawala talaga yung virus. Yung mismong kusang nawawala yung virus, that's because tumataas yung antibodies natin, nani-neutralize yung mga viruses na yan. It takes really about 3 weeks for a patient to really get well, to get recovered, around 3 weeks, para matest kung mag-negative siya. Like yung mga dinidischarge natin from the hospital, those who are getting recovered. Kaya kakaunti pa lang ngayon yung mga nagre-recover kasi andun pa sila sa last few days or last week nila of their confinement for us to see. So, it's hard to say yung sa statistics natin kasi we are only citing yung mga data from abroad. So that's why we need to also focus on conducting our own studies, our own research, collating the data, and coming up with good decisions based on this data.
Huling hirit na lang. Last question, Doc Troy. No, you were saying if we confine them, quarantine them, essentially they get healed and they're back to normal. I've heard of other diseases. Na you develop the resistance, you're strong, you're okay, until your resistance drops and then it resurfaces again.
Okay.
Is this possible in COVID-19?
For COVID-19, I think there have been some reports and some early evidence that there might be a phenomenon of reinfection. The thing is, we need to explore it very carefully. Some say, as you mentioned, na parang baka na-reactivate lang yung virus, naging dormant siya for a while. Some would say baka it might be yung some problem with that kind of test. Baka nagkaroon tayo ng false negative test when they were recovered and then pala positive pala siya. So nagtutuloy-tuloy lang pala yung kanyang status as positive. The other option is that, or the other thing to consider is that baka yung mismong infection was too mild to maybe yung hindi masyadong nag-manifest yung antibodies niya. And then parang nandun lang yung virus and hindi masyadong parang mag-manifest by itself. Parang related yata siya dun sa naging fragments lang yung virus and then baka yun yung nakikita dun sa test natin.
So in the end, it's still, it's still a work in progress. Nothing is definite, and it's still half science, half guessing game.
Yes, for now, we're still trying to establish more data, more evidence, and if we can generate that evidence dito mismo sa Philippines to compare it to the other countries, that will be ideal.
Okay. Thank you very much, Dr. Troy. And we hope that you will continue to stay safe, stay strong, stay healthy. God bless you. Maraming salamat for your time today, Doc.
Thanks, Ito, and God bless to everyone.
Okay, that's Dr. Troy GEPTE, our guest epidemiologist. And now let's go to Ria Fernandez. She is our news correspondent for News 5. Ria, looking good, looking great. Your video is great. How are you?
Yes, good morning, Sito. I'm fine. I hope you are all doing fine amid this crisis.
Okay, you have to forgive me. I have lost touch of what the rest of you are doing. I'm imprisoned in my in my house here. So, what areas have you been covering for lately?
Yes. Well, yesterday I was monitoring the subcommittee meeting of the House Defeat COVID-19, specifically the subcommittee tasked on the economic stimulus package, and some of our economic managers were present there to give updates to our House lawmakers on what they are doing on their own capacities to combat this COVID-19.
Okay, I've been hearing a lot of things coming out of Congress, particularly like Joey Salceda and passing or submitting a bill regarding it is a bailout package for the airlines, and then before that, of course, the 1.5 trillion fund for government to fight COVID-19. Where are we in all of those things? Because we're talking about billions, trillions, and I'm saying to myself, saan manggagaling lahat yung pera niyan?
The 1.5 trillion pesos, which Finance Secretary Sonny Dominguez mentioned during the hearing yesterday, is already committed, actually, part of which is already rolling, and that includes the emergency aid or the social amelioration package for our 18 million poor Filipino families severely affected by this crisis brought by COVID-19. It also includes loans for the micro, small, and medium enterprises, as well as agriculture, among others. Now, going to the 600 to 700 billion pesos PERA or Philippine Economic Recovery Act, which aims to help the government recover from the economic losses because of this exogenous shocks, which is the pandemic, the COVID-19. For one, Majority Floor Leader Martin Romualdez assured during his opening statement yesterday that the government has the means to pool these financial resources and there is nothing to worry. In fact, not only 700 billion pesos, but the government has the capacity to raise up to 1 to 1.5 trillion pesos, according to Romualdez.
Okay, that's for the initial requirement. Now, well, a few questions there, Ria. Uh, aren't they supposed to be going back to work on May 4? Are they already working now?
Yes, yes. Actually, before they adjourned for the Easter break, Speaker Cayetano repeatedly said to the public that they will continue working. It will be a working Congress even during break. And that's what happened yesterday and in the previous days, especially that we have this pandemic. And Speaker Cayetano also confirmed yesterday that they will proceed as scheduled on the reopening of the session on May 4. Now, the question is, how are they going to do it? He said that it depends on the situation. If the situation is still the same, most likely it may be online.
Okay, so well, apparently it's all going to be online. Now,
Yes.
was it Congressman Eric Yap who recently suggested that the POGOs should be allowed to operate again
Mhm.
because the government is cash strapped? I mean, it's like the right hand doesn't know what the left hand is doing. Martin
Yes.
Romualdez says we have trillions, we can raise trillions, and then Eric Yap is going, wala na tayong pera, patakbuhin nyo na yung mga POGO.
Yes. He said that as an appropriations committee chairperson of the House and as the former chairperson of the House Committee on Games and Amusement. And according to him, allowing POGOs to operate again during this crisis will help the government gain income, raise its revenues to fund these economic programs to assist our sector severely affected by this crisis. He actually asked this to Secretary Dominguez, but Secretary Dominguez said that the IATF is yet to discuss this proposal, but he thinks it should be the BIR who should decide on this matter because it is the one collecting our taxes.
I know that you have limited access to
Mhm.
our legislators now because of the ECQ, and of course, everyone's just being careful. But what is the sentiment of most congressmen and congresswomen on this subject matter? Because, the minute people get back to normal, I think a lot of people are going to express indignation because most of the blame was being placed on pogo workers coming in and
Mhm.
out of the country, and suspicion and blame were thrown at them as having brought COVID-19 to the Philippines.
To tell you honestly, other House lawmakers have other suggestions on how to deal with this COVID-19 crisis. For one, Congressman Salceda is batting for another 2 week extension of ECQ because he thinks that if we go back to normal after April 30, it will be costlier for the government. It will be more dangerous for the people in terms of health, in terms of economy. Others are suggesting modified ECQ wherein the government will lift a lockdown in areas where there are no COVID cases anymore so they can restart their economy and open their businesses.
Okay, did Joey Salceda ever give out figures? Because we've been trying to get him, and because we're very interested, because I know that the business sector wants to open up. And
Mm.
Joey said it's going to be costlier, mas murang magtiis tayo for another 2 weeks than mag-open up tayo and then close down for another 45 days. Did he actually ever come out with figures?
I'll just look up with my notes, but yes, in his press statement, it was no, actually not only a press statement, but he shared with us the note that he sent to the executive department, which includes his statistics, his computations, that if ever we proceed with the reopening of businesses with the lifting of the lockdown come April 30, it will really be more detrimental, more dangerous, and not beneficial to the government and to the people. I
Okay.
will share the details maybe later to the team.
Okay. Well, I really appreciate your inputs this morning, Ria, and we hope that you'll stay safe, stay strong, stay healthy, and please tell your fellow correspondents you guys are doing such a great job, and we're glad to have you come in on agenda. You all look great, giving us great information. Please take care, and God bless all of you.
Thank you so much.
Okay, that's our news correspondent, Ria, and we'll go for a quick break. When we come back, we will bring in a member of Congress, and we will ask him about COVID-19 free areas and certifications. We'll be back here on Agenda. Please stay tuned. Okay, you're back here on Agenda. I'm Cito Beltran, and you are watching us via Signal TV channels 8 and 250, as well as Facebook Live via the One News PH Facebook account. Now, we have with us the Representative Congressman for the 1st District of Samar, Edgar Sarmiento, and he is the chairman of the House Committee on Transportation. He is also among the officials pushing for the implementation of a modified lockdown. Excuse me. Congressman Sarmiento, good morning.
Sito, good morning. Thank you for having me.
Okay, now you got my attention when you came out in the news stating or suggesting the determination or finding COVID-free areas, and then declaring them as COVID-free areas. What was your plan? What's your idea?
Sito, the number should speak for itself. I have to be focused on precise on the numbers. We start with the global number first, if you will allow me to say so. The
Go ahead.
number right now, in terms of cases, we have around 2,499,000, and the numbers of death globally is 171,000, and that's roughly 6.89% deaths to cases. In the
Okay.
United States, to be specific, where the rate right now is very high, the number of cases is 788,000, and deaths is 42,000 plus minus, and that's coming in around 5.37% cases to death. Now, in the Philippines, the number right now is 6,599, and deaths is 437. That's roughly 6% deaths to cases. We're approximately within the world death to case number. But the number of death here is quite low. It's around 437 as of yesterday. And I hope the number will be maintained at that rate. However, if you notice, there are 81 provinces in the countries, 14 regions. We have National Capital Region, Cordillera Autonomous Region, of course, BARM. For me, it's like a war, Sito, of an
Okay.
unseen enemy. So we have to liberate other parts of the Philippines that are not affected. Reason of which I have analyzed the number, and for me, two-tier system is very practical. We liberate areas that are not affected because 95% of cases are located in Luzon, 2% in the Visayas, 3% in Mindanao.
Okay.
So I believe so now the planners, the think tanks knows already the specific areas where COVID is, the virus really is located right now. And I'm confident because based on science, the incubation period is ranges from 14 to 25 calendar days. Since we already locked down the entire country, movements right now, I believe, so of the virus as of the moment. So I think it's about time for us to open up areas that are not infected with the virus.
Okay, so you put down the data. Now it's easy to pinpoint, depend based on the
That's right.
reporting. Now, what you're saying is, okay, how many provinces are there that you know are COVID free?
Out of the 81 provinces in the entire country, I think there are roughly 30 provinces that are free right now.
Okay, can you repeat that? 30?
30, yes.
Okay,
Out of
so
80, yes.
out of 81. Now, what do you want to do? They're COVID free. So are you saying we simply, make them, isolate them, so to speak, so that their people can run their economy, go on with their lives, but no, all the rest of the provinces, you stay outside.
It's like a colony, Sito. It's like a border.
Okay.
So the border guards will not allow anyone to just go on the territories where there's a COVID-free area.
Okay.
So the government right now, the process that we have the interagency task force, of course, that there's a Department of Health. On my proposal, what I'm saying is that it should be certified first by IATF and the Department of Health on the areas where clearly there's no COVID infection at all.
Yeah.
Now, gradually, the local government units, through the Department of Interior and local governments, which is located and spread out all throughout the country. Now, there is 81 provinces, 145 cities, 1,470 municipalities. The jurisdiction now falls under the local chief executive,
Mhm.
aided, of course, by the Department of Health and, of course, representation from the Department of Interior and local government. Now, once the local chief executive feels that there is no infection at all in the area, all they can do is maybe propose this to the Department of Interior and local government, make it as a model, open up the areas to normal lives, maybe 50% of workforce for government, 50% for workforce of private establishments, and of course other commercial centers. Again, we should have we should bring
Yeah,
to
but
normalcy gradually.
I'm all for that, Congressman Sarmiento. My question is this, because I've been interviewing so many governors, mayors, and government officials. Now, many provinces, you're either a supplier or you are a consumer.
That's
There
right.
are many products that a province needs, and there are many products that a province sells or provide. Now,
That's
these
right.
30 provinces, do you think that they can survive on their own until the rest of the 81 or the 49 provinces become COVID free? Because
Don't
it's
don't get
one,
me wrong. See, don't
yeah,
get me wrong. See, the movement of goods will remain as the same right now. So
yeah,
movement goods from Luzon can go to Mindanao.
yeah,
Goods from Mindanao can go to Luzon as well on the nautical highways that we have. What
yeah.
should not be allowed clearly are residents on those specific areas.
The
But the
movement
movement
of
of goods
people.
should be movement of goods should still be unimpeded.
Okay, movement of goods are unimpeded, but movement of people should be
Should
stopped.
not be allowed. Yes, that
Okay.
is the suggestion right now.
Now, what
Because
is the reaction? I'm
again,
for
this
it.
is
I know.
now we locked down the country.
Okay, Congressman, are you still there?
I'm hoping that the president will consider the suggestion because I think yeah, I'm here.
Okay. You're
Hello,
hoping that the
yeah.
president will
Hello,
consider the
Sito.
suggestion.
Yes, I'm hoping that the president will consider the suggestion. Again, this will open up normalcy. We can really test the areas since right now, as a repeat, based on science, you have an incubation period of 14 to 25 days.
Yeah,
We locked down the country March 15. We are now almost 1 month and 45 days. And I believe so that the virus right now, wherever it is, it's the unseen enemy that we have. Clearly, we have, of course, the Department of Health and the IATF knowing already the specific areas where the virus are. So I'm hoping that opening up all other areas which are not infected will be made as a model, as a test case, so that we can gradually bring back the country to normalcy.
okay. On another topic, as the chairman of the committee for transport, what are your ideas or sentiments regarding resumption of transportation facilities and or transportation lines? Because that's again an issue.
on the transportation, we already we wrote the Department of Transportation on their plans for COVID post ECQ scenario. This involves, of course, aviation, maritime, rail, and land. We just received the report yesterday, and I'm hoping that aviation, railways, land can already be allowed to come up with their maintenance, post-maintenance preparation, because you cannot just allow these equipments to fly right away. They have been idle for the past 45 calendar days. So there should be preventive maintenance and preparatory maintenance things that has to be done. So on right now, I think Secretary Artugadi doesn't want, and IATF doesn't want that the land transportation, the public transportation, will be utilized, because again, we don't know where the virus are. We want to make sure that once we open up to normalcy, it should be in a gradual phase, like the way we close down the country on ECQ. We cannot just open up right the country as well to all dynamics as well. So transportation is a must, but it has to be well calibrated, well studied. Maybe we start with the land transportation, rails, then gradually open up aviation, and finally maritime.
Okay, well, I leave it at that, Congressman Edgar Sarmiento, and we hope to hear more about your proposal regarding COVID-free provinces. And we hope that you stay safe, stay strong, and stay healthy. God bless you, sir.
Likewise, Lucita, thank you so much for the opportunity. Good morning, everyone.
Okay, that's Congressman Sarmiento of the First District of Samar, giving us a window to his idea of COVID-free provinces being identified and declared and being allowed to go back to normal. Now, excuse me, one of the things that constantly keeps surfacing in the midst of all of this of the government's campaign against COVID-19 and its public assistance program is the apparent need, the obvious need, and the long delayed national ID system. Let's go to our News 5 correspondent Dale De Vera, who we hope can give us some insights of what's going on. Dale, good morning. Dale De Vera, can you hear me? Okay.
Yes, Tito. Good morning.
Yes, thank you, Dale. Nice to hear from you. Now, everyone, even my wife, is commenting that this country needs a national ID system. And I said, we were working on it. It was supposed to be rolled out in April. And in fact, just to let you know, I actually gave communications training to many officials of the Philippine Statistics Authority on this, but we got overwhelmed, overtaken by COVID-19. So what's happening on the ground, Dale?
Yes, Sito, we were able to speak with the newly appointed NEDA Secretary General Carl Kendrick Chua, and he told us that he already spoke with PSA National Statistician Dennis Mapa that they will be using the next 2 months to continue with the procurement and the preparation for the Philippine National Identification System, or the PhilSys, which they plan to hold the registration again by June or July. Now, technically, Sito, the implementation of the PhilSys ID wasn't really put on hold, since based on the schedule of the PSA, it is still on schedule, which uh, as per the data of PSA, the mass registration of the 110 million Filipinos would really start by July, by June or July this year. what happened by last September was just a test or pilot test registration for member for those who are part of the 40s and or those who are with the under the vulnerable sector. Sita?
Okay, is there based on your discussions and your contacts, is there a plan to rush this or to just basically send people out or go online to start the national ID campaign?
Well, with what Secretary Chua said or mentioned yesterday, they will be starting to enroll or register at least 5,000 households. In that way, they will be rushing the registration, but they will be registering per household and not the targeted per individual. In this way, the programs that will be downloaded or the data for social welfare programs will be faster.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Dale, because that seems to be misaligned. The social amelioration program is generally for the poorest of the poor, and then we have how many million families, households in the Philippines, and then we're going to target 5,000, but we're talking of a national ID system that is supposed to be for individuals. So what was the logic behind all of that?
Just to clarify, I'm sorry. I was I gave the wrong info. It was supposed to be 5 million households
Oh,
for
oh,
the first rollout of the Philippine National ID System, which will actually benefit the social amelioration program. In that way, data will be streamlined and disbursement of funds for the social amelioration program will be easier for the LGUs.
okay. I thank you for that clarification because I kind of like wowed out on that one. But in any case, obviously we still have to wait for the ECQ to be lifted, correct?
Yes, that's right. Because what Secretary Chua said is that they will have to wait for the ECQ to be relaxed or to be modified before the start, and that PSA is still in the process of procurement and preparing for the registration.
Okay, what about on the PSA side? From what I understand, they're going to have to recruit or the help of the DepEd, and the DepEd has its hands so full in transitioning to the new way of educating Filipinos under COVID-19. Did you hear anything from the PSA who they're going to ask or who are they going to call?
We have not yet asked the PSA since Secretary Chua and the national statistician Dennis Mapa have just spoken or discussed with the program yesterday since Chua only sat in only took over from Secretary Pernia yesterday.
Yeah.
But how I understand the program, it will still be as is, and it will be dependent on how things will move forward after the ECQ.
I'm just curious, and this is already off topic, Dale, because I don't envy you. You have one of the toughest assignments dealing with with the pencil pushers, the stats people, the economists, etc. And I'm guessing it is 2 times harder or 10 times harder for you now to do your work. Is that correct?
It's actually about 50 times harder since it at this time, although sources or our subjects are maybe easier to be reached out, but there will be times they have other priorities over interviews since we are all dealing with pandemics and with the pandemic, and that they will have more things to attend to than to answer your questions or clarifications. So it's
Yeah.
actually 10 times harder with, especially you need to be sure with the numbers that you are dealing with.
And I suppose you have to read so much stuff now instead of just listening to their briefings and to their lectures, you're going to have to do even more research now because you're never really sure of the data that may be coming out.
Yes, that's right. And you also need to understand the historical data or how like for example the GDP, the historical data of GDP, how it moved from let's say 10 years ago up to now and how it has affected. You need to understand it since especially now that our GDP rate, our macroeconomy will be much affected since because of the pandemic.
Well, like I said, I don't envy your position right now. But on the other hand, I'm really glad that we have this new system because I get to invite people like you, Ria Fernandez, and all our other correspondents to come onto the program because you people are so camera shy. You put the camera to officials, but you don't want to be in front of the camera. And now you have no choice but to come out on agenda. And you all look good and you all do a great job. So thank you very much, Dale. And please stay safe, stay strong, and stay healthy. God bless you, Dale.
Thank you too, Sita, and you too. Stay safe. God
Okay,
bless.
and that's Dale De Vera of News 5, our TV5 news correspondent. And finally, let's go to our next and last interview. And I'm particularly interested in this because, as you may have heard when I talked to Dr. Troy, I was talking about resistance for people to build up their resistance and their strength. And our next interview is Lucal PH. And there behind the people behind Lucal PH are Megan Kristen Sevilla and Sofia Camille Tagle. Now, I don't know who I have on the camera here. Is that Megan or is that Sofia?
Hi, this is Megan Sevilla.
Okay, Megan, welcome to the program. And I understand you developed a product, or is it a drink called Lucal? Can you please explain to our viewers what that is and why it's good for COVID-19 or during COVID-19 pandemic?
Okay, good morning, Sir Cito. So, Sophia, my partner Sophia Tagle and I, we created this local product. So, it's local, meaning luya plus calamansi concentrate. So, originally, this term was thought of by my partner Sophia because we wanted it to sound like local, meaning locally made. So, we
Great,
have
that's
two
a
main
great idea.
Yes, so we have two main ingredients. So the first one is ginger. So ginger can protect our immune system since according to our research, it contains a lot of bioactive compounds which have medicinal properties, which gingerol is the most prominent. So ginger nowadays is also being used as traditional or in alternative medicines to help alleviate nausea as well as treat colds and flus. So, in fact, according to a study from the Journal of Ethnopharmacology back in November 2012, they studied that the fresh ginger helped prevented the occurrence of the human respiratory syncytial virus by preventing the attack attack on the upper respiratory tract cells. So also ginger can help prevent mucus production and help clear up the congestion when you have colds, according to Dr. Sarah Cabot. So
Okay.
ginger contains a lot of antioxidant compounds which can help quench the free radicals and to protect our immune system from diseases. So on the other hand, our second ingredient that we use is the calamansi, or what we know as the Philippine lime. So
Yeah.
based on our research, it is rich in vitamin A, vitamin C, calcium, and other antioxidants with such as limonene. So, with if you have a supplementation of a vitamin C, it can help prevent and treat respiratory and other systemic infections. So also, vitamin C can help increase our immune defense because it can support a lot of cellular functions in our immune system. So these are some of the reasons why we chose ginger and calamansi to help protect our immune system from this corona or COVID-19 virus.
Okay, now, Megan, how did you and Sophia get into this? Because I mean, okay, I know that you millennials love to come up with really unusual drink mixes, tonics, and juices. But how did you two in particular end up with this? I mean, do you even know anything about cooking, mixing, and chemistry?
Okay, so thank you for that question, Sir Cito. So Sofia Tagle and I, we are both fourth year BS food technology students studying in UP Diliman. So we got our knowledge and learnings from our food technology class majors. So one of the most important classes that has been applied to local is from our food processing class, because from there we learned on how to sanitize properly our raw materials, equipments, and even the packaging that we use, the bottle packaging. So each raw material, equipment, and the bottles have its own ppm chlorine solution value to ensure that local is being made safely.
Okay, so you have this training, you know the science, and your fourth year major, so it's just a hip and a hip and a hop away from the diploma. So I guess you guys know what you're talking about. Now, when you said ginger and calamansi or Philippine lime, the first thing that came into me was I guess they're compatible because they're both acidic or acidic in nature. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
So it's not something. It's not a mad science mixture, and they both have therapeutic, nutritional, historical value. So that's good. Now, how tough is it? Because Filipinos love their sugar. They love sugar in everything. But you're coming up with a drink that is supposed to boost the immune system, make people feel better. How tough is it selling this, or did you also put in the sugar like most millennials do?
So, sir, local is a concentrate. So we add sugar with it to help cover up the spiciness flavor of the luya, as well as the acidic flavor of the calamansi. However, we have future plans to have a variety that is less sugar, since we had a lot of inquiries coming in from diabetic patients.
All right. So, what about the market? How easy is it to sell this product in today's market, especially when you can't even go out?
Yes, sir. So at the start, we and I and Sophia, we used our own pocket money to be able to donate to our frontliners. But for our second batch of production, my partner Sophia, she conceptualized a buy one give one scheme, which gives us the chance to share the local taste to the general public, as well as donating to our frontliners.
And I suppose you use Lala Move, Grab Deliver, and all sorts of delivery system.
Yes, sir, to transport our raw materials as well as the product itself to the customers.
Well, Megan, congratulations. Again, a couple of students from UP are doing something innovative, something useful, and making a difference, which makes taxpayers' money for a scholar ng bayan well worth it. Maraming salamat sa iyo, Megan, at sa kasama mong si Sofia Camille.
Thank you, sir. It's a privilege to be part of your show, and we wish to inspire more people po, especially in this time of pandemic.
Okay, stay strong, stay safe, and be healthy. God bless you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, that's Megan Kristin Sevilla and her partner Sofia Camille Tagle, who brought to you Lucal, Luya and Calamansi concentrate, juice concentrate. Now, we're about to close the show, so I just wanna talk about one particular point I read in the Philippine Star this morning. The concern of an official of the World Health Organization, citing the fact that we have an outlier percentage, or we have a high rate of COVID-19 exposure for our frontliners compared to the regional average. They say that in the region, the exposure of health workers to COVID-19 is at 1 to 2%. But in the Philippines, it is supposedly, reportedly 13%. And this is because of the initial lack of the PPEs, testing kits, protocols, etc. But something that not a lot of people know is it is also because many of our doctors, nurses in particular, have been doing 24-hour shifts, some for 3 days straight, some have been doing it for God knows how long. And all of that is just going to bring you down. So we are calling upon the members of Congress, please help the DOH in their funding. They're asking, I think, for 500 million more for to be able to hire 17,000 health workers. And to anyone watching there, if there's any way you can help shorten the traveling distance of our health workers, making their lives easier, uh, please do so. We are all together in this fight. This is not just a fight or a rumble. This is our World War III. Don't forget that. Please stay safe, stay strong, stay healthy, and stay indoors. God bless all of you. We love all of you. And let us all pray for each other that we make it through this war. I'm Cito Beltran. This is Agenda on Signal TV, Channel 8 and 250, live on One News PH. Take care of yourselves.